That was agony. Yeah, it was agony. You feel like you're being suffocated. The heat was extraordinary. It was relentless. It was a bit like somebody having a blowtorch on you. This is a situation where if I don't prepare myself, I could die.
This is the Atacama Desert, one of the most hostile environments on Earth. And this is Richard Cheetham, who risked his life to run across its scorched surface.
An email came through in the morning of that fateful day, and it said, do you want to run across the driest desert on Earth, which is 155 miles. So I said, seems like a good idea, and so we did it, and the rest is part of my history.
Richard trained hard for 6 months, but it was not until he stood on the start line that he began to really understand what lay ahead of him.
What's it like with all those other people knowing, well, thinking maybe that you know what you're about to do?
There is doubt. You look at people who are physically in better shape than you, younger than you, they look like proper marathon runners, and then the reality checks, this is it.
The Atacama Desert sits over 3,000 metres above sea level. Once the race was underway, the thin air and searing heat inevitably began to take their toll.
It was a bit like somebody having a torch, you know, like a blowtorch on you, but the heat was extraordinary. It was relentless.
I don't think many people ever really experience that level of fatigue. So how would you describe that?
You change your focus. For me, being an expectant father, you know, that was a real big time for me.
Was it that when things became very emotional, was it thinking about that did it for you?
Yeah, definitely, because you know, I wanted them to be proud of me, and I spent 6 days thinking of a boy's name and ended up having a daughter.
While thoughts of his unborn child drove Richard on, he had to watch other runners falling apart.
You mentioned the word break a few times. When a runner breaks, what is that?
It's quite sad, really. Quite sad to see people sat down who can't carry on, people who've run out of water, people at checkpoints who are lying on their back on a drip. On the longest day, a guy stopping because he was peeing blood, and he knew then that was it, his race was over. And it works two ways. To see somebody break is obviously sad, and you do what you can, but also when you see someone break, you think, that's not going to be me.
Was there a section that you remember was just physically a terrible thing to have to do?
Yeah, the longest day was the hardest day, because both my feet were badly blistered. Your feet are sore, and you know, and they were sort of bleeding and raw. That you can't put anything over the open wound. You can't put a second skin. I knew the first hour of that morning was going to be tough, because I'd feel every single impact onto that ball of my foot.
What does it feel like?
Okay, I'll tell you this. If you imagine you cut a hole in your hand and you pour vinegar on it and you just hold it there, and then you put your hand on the floor for all that time and just bash it constantly like that, and then have sand in it, and then have it on the other foot as well, and then all the other psychological things that go on.
At this point, Richard still had 85 miles to go. The course ran through a punishing salt basin.
It's pools of water with ridges of salt. We had to find a path. My foot went in there after being dressed by the doctor the night before, and it went into the salt water within an hour of the longest march.
What did that feel like?
That was agony. Yeah, it was agony.
Tell me about the finish line, the end of the race.
It's never ending. It's never ending. But when it did come, we crossed the line. I didn't cry. I didn't get emotional, and I had a can of Coke. Remember that? And it was absolutely amazing. And we hugged each other. We went to a presentation in the evening, and my feet were by that time suddenly ballooned up, and so the celebrations were muted by the fact that I couldn't get to the bar, and I spent a lot of time sitting down. But
what does it feel like having done something like that? Emotionally, what's the moment like for you in your head as you cross the line?
it was difficult to describe. There's so many people I wanted to thank. That was the first thing I wanted to do, was to thank people. Yeah, I just wanted to really thank people who'd helped me, yeah. Wanted them all to be there. Wanted them all to be there. That's it. Sorry.
No,
about that.
Okay. Who did you want at the finish line?
I've been to it. I watched Ironman New Zealand once when I lived out there, and I spent like 6 hours at the finish line just watching people come in. And I watched a guy come in, and both of his children, he picked them up and he crossed the finish line with him. And I wanted that. I did want that. Yeah. There's one thing I haven't mentioned actually. It was the best shower I ever had. The night we got across the finish line was the best shower, and that's when you suddenly look down. You lost every ounce of fat on your body, and you're tired. But yeah, there is that physical feeling of just, I don't know, if you can do anything. Nothing in life of any worth is easy. I've always said that. If it's difficult and challenging, you'll look back and think, that was a tough day, a tough moment, but it's worthwhile, And if it was easy, that desert would have been full of people running, but it wasn't. And find the thing you want to do that is your personal challenge, whatever it is. And you'll have moments when you want to stop, but you'll have a moment when something happens and you carry on. And that's defining in you as a person and defining your life.